1984, the California State Legislature declared that in the public interest, a continuing program was necessary for the purpose of preventing contamination from leaking underground storage tanks. Chapter 6.7, Underground Storage of Hazardous Substances, was added to the Health and Safety Code to accomplish this goal. At Falcon Environmental, we agree with that goal and specialize in the safe removal and installation of underground storage facilities. At this site, two 10,000-gallon gasoline tanks are going to be removed and replaced with a new state-approved 3,000-gallon double-walled tank. Before work begins on site, a complete study is made to identify size, location, and type of material being stored. Then all appropriate permits are obtained and are in evidence at the job location. Should historical documents not indicate the size of the tanks, then the size can be determined by sticking the tanks with a non-sparking probe such as plastic or wood. All sources of ignition within 25 feet of the tanks are disconnected or locked out. Should the tank still contain liquid, a vacuum truck is used to pump out the remaining product. If the contents are unknown, a sample is taken and tests are run to determine the nature of the material. At this point, the tanks are checked for flammability. Using a combustible gas indicator, the team takes measurements to determine the explosive levels within the tanks. The lower explosion limit levels and time are recorded on the job log sheet. In order to inert or bring the tank into a safe range to begin excavation work, dry ice, 15 pounds per 1,000 gallons, is placed inside the tank. A fire inspector is present during this procedure to ensure the safety of the team. When the inspector is satisfied that the tank has been safely neutralized, excavation begins. Using a hydraulic hammer, the team begins the delicate process of breaking the surface without damaging the integrity of the tanks. Continuous observation must be maintained to identify all piping associated with the site. Once the tanks have been exposed, Falcon's team moves in to perform one of their specialties, on-site tank cleaning. To reduce the explosive level of the tanks further, Venturi air blowers are installed to aerate the tank's interior. This purging is continued until the tank's interior readings are at least 20% of the lower explosive level. A non-sparking beryllium-tipped cold chisel is used to open manholes on each end of each tank. Hydroblasting with high-pressure water is done to loosen scale, sludge, and sediment. The tank wash is then vacuumed out with a vacuum truck and manifested to an appropriate disposal facility. A certified chemist inspects the tank and issues a certificate stating the tank is safe for hot work. The chemist applies an identification number and date which corresponds to the certification with spray paint to the exterior of the tank. When the certification is completed, a fire inspector gives the go-ahead for the team to remove the tank from the hole. The inspector will observe this process and inspect the bottom of the excavation for any possible leak residue from the tanks. Regulatory agencies may require soil samples to be removed from the excavation and tested for hazardous constituents. This is recorded on the log sheet, and any residue is removed from the hole and disposed of in an appropriate facility. The tanks are then removed and exteriors are cleaned for transport to a recycling or salvage operation. Once the excavation is acknowledged as being free of contamination, the site is prepared to accept the new system. The excavation is checked to make sure that it is free from material that may cause damage to the tank's coating. The excavation is dug deep enough to allow 4 feet of cover and extend a distance of at least 2 feet around the perimeter of the tank. The bottom is covered with clean sand or gravel to a depth of 2 feet suitably graded and leveled. Before the tank is set, a holiday test is performed under the supervision of the fire inspector. This test is conducted over 100% of the tank's surface to ensure that there are no pinholes or hairline cracks. Equipment to lift the tank must be of adequate size to lift and lower the tank without damaging the tank or its coating. The tank should be lifted and lowered by the use of cables attached to the lifting lugs. The tank is then set on a 1% slope from the fill end to the suction end. Backfilling in this case, consisting of pea gravel, is placed along the bottom sides of the tank by hand shoveling and tamping to ensure that the tank is fully and evenly supported around the bottom quadrant. The remaining backfill is then carefully deposited around the sides of the tank to a depth of 2 feet. At this point, the tank is now ready for the plumbing system to be installed. There are a number of connections made to the tank. The first is the product fill pipe. This line has a closed vent system so that in case of a product spill, it will be captured into the overflow basin. The next connection is the vapor recovery system. This system is designed to recapture hydrocarbons emitted during vehicle fueling and return them to the tank via a vapor recovery nozzle and the appropriate piping system. The product line in this case is a suction style line with all the necessary fittings to bring the product up to the fuel pump. Once the plumbing system is completed, a pressure test is conducted. 5 pounds of air pressure is applied to both the tank and the plumbing for the inspector to be satisfied there are no leaks within the system. One of the main reasons for requiring double-walled tanks is for the accessibility for the monitoring equipment. The new laws require every system to be monitored. In the annular space, flexible cables bend between tank walls, allowing the liquid sensor to be positioned at the lowest point of the tank. A vapor sensor is mounted near the manhole at the top of the void. The cables are then run in conduit to the monitoring panel. Falcon can design your monitoring system, which provides immediate audible and visual warnings of leaking vapors or liquids as soon as they occur. When all systems are fully checked and signed off, the tank system is then ready to provide years of safe, clean service. Falcon Environmental has the experience, knowledge, and manpower to handle your next engineering or construction needs. Falcon, where service is our first concern.